name is Kelly Wolf, and you're watching Cove's Epilogue. Let's get into it. Cliff leaned over towards her and gave 2 thumbs up for that speech. His zealousness made Kyra cover her mouth in amusement and embarrassment. Then Cliff raised out of his seat. The most contentious figure in your husband's early life, who grew to become his best man. Cliff took large strides to reach the speaker's stand. Right, I'm gonna put you on the floor. Oh, you jumped down. Thank you. His fingers froze in place before they could grasp the mic. He stared at it, collecting his thoughts or his emotions, or both. When he was ready, his hands locked around the base of it, lifted the mic higher. A grin poured across his face. There was a crinkle around the corner of his eyes.
Hey.
Hey, Sport. Hi, Callie. Hi, Dad. Cove's reply was barely audible. He might not have realized who'd done it. Cove's irises were shaking as he looked ahead intently. Well, Cove's expression turned distant. He was facing the crowd, but his gaze had drifted further away to something in the past that was long gone. I remember the first day. Cove and I moved to Sunset Bud when I met Callie. I didn't know where my boy was then, what I was doing, or anything at all, really. As you'll soon be able to tell. He chuckled weakly over the self-derised comment. It didn't do much to lighten anyone's mood, including his own. He remained wistful. I was sitting around on the curb when Callie strolled up the road heading home. I knew them, or I knew of them. I'd met Pamela and Nilani already. Talking to them is how Cove got away from me. Cove shook his head, trying not to get too lost in his complicated maths of thoughts on those times. But there's another point. What matters is that I heard Callie was the 8-year-old, the same age as my Cove, and Callie was the only one that age in the neighborhood. In my infinite wisdom, I had picked out a place that wasn't exactly a family-friendly community. It was mostly a bunch of retired vacationers. He gritted his teeth, placed a hand to his forehead, feeling the sting of that day as if it was fresh. And speaking of, did I mention it was the start of summer break when we moved? What was my little boy going to do now that I dragged him there? I wanted him to have someone to play with, someone he could talk to. I wanted him to be happy. There was a heart-wrenching cracking in Cliff's voice as he spoke about what his feelings had truly been. Just at that moment, everything was going wrong. It felt like a dead end no matter which way I went, and I was sure there wouldn't be anyone but Cove if it wasn't Allie. In one more valiant effort to try and not make the mood of your wedding too heavy, Cliff gave a goofy shrug. So I offered Callie $20 for his friend. It's just funny to me. The straight line of his shoulders lowered to each side is like a roof sagging off years of having to stay solid. Maybe that's not the word. What I'm saying is all my worries and regrets were at their peak. I was acting crazy. I know it now. But somehow, it still turned that there really wasn't anyone else for him. Or not anyone better for him anyway. Nobody in this world could be there for Cove the way they can. The sentence remained unfinished as much as he tried. Cliff couldn't put the words together to express what it meant to him. Cliff placed a hand against his chest as his gaze lowered to the ground. His delicate words continued to be shared with the full gathering of people, thanks to the mic, but it was as if Cliff was speaking only to his son. That day, such a long time ago at this point, when he found out why Kyra and me divorced, they were there. Callie was there when the plan was to just go jet skiing. When that emotional bomb happened, they were still there. And when you were ready to head back out and to keep going forward, you just had to turn your head to see someone who was ready to go with you.
I'm so glad.
You had someone who supported you in ways I could never. It was just what I hoped for. I was so relieved. He glanced forward once more, offering a smile directly to you. You're an amazing person, Callie. Inhaling deeply through his nose, Cliff stands forward together and solid. His bright blue eyes shone in with a depth to them as they met with a far brighter blue of his child's. Son, being your dad will always be the best thing I've done in my entire life. And getting that condo on the street was the luckiest cut I ever drew. Because I bet the two of you would have found each other with or without that eventually. But because of it, my kid got to grow up right next to the person who could make him the happiest. I can't ask more than that. And Callie, you didn't need a dad with what great moms you got, but I'm so thankful I still get to be yours. I love you both, and I'll keep loving you for the rest of the time I've got. Tears streaked down Cove's face freely. He didn't fight that falling. I love you too. Watching you and your husband from where he stood, Cove got misty-eyed himself. He reached to wipe his cheeks, completely forgetting there was a microphone in his hand. Cove sat down shyly and waved over to the two of you. Stepping away, he was then able to rub at the ever-growing tears. No one spoke or even moved as Cliff returned to his spot. When he was seated, Kara reached over to give him a pat on the back. He had done good. Then the mic sat there untouched. None of the attendees wanted to pick up where it was left off. That was going to be the final speech from your guests, you were certain. Grove's breath was shaky, taking in everything. A weepy smile reappeared on his face. The more had sunk in just how much he was cared for. He leaned against your side, pulling at the tablecloth buried his face in your shoulder. You chuckled, feeling good. And you brushed Cove's hair back soothingly. Slowly, deliberately, you stroked the smooth green strands of hair without disrupting Cove's positioning against your body. When a voice was amplified across the whole space once more, it was expectantly your partner giving his appreciation for the cooperation again, announcing the closing of the speeches. But rather than leaving the mic on the counter, he strolled up to your table with the device in hand. Before we shut this off for the night, would either of you like to give your own message to your loved ones? Oh. Cove lifted his teary face to acknowledge Baxter, pausing to sniffle. I'll do it. I'd like to say something too.
Of course.
Of course. Here you are. Cove used one hand to scrub his eyes and the other to accept the mic, drawing it in close. Too close. His murmur crackled uncomfortably loud, and Cove's arm sprung out straight to instinctively get the noisemaker away from him. He winced before much cautiously lifting the mic towards his face.
Thanks.
Oh, wait, shut. He held it in both his hands, and his face dropped to the ground.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Really, seriously, He closed his eyes completely as he paused to bite his lips. So glad to be here. And all those things you said were... There was a cracking strain to Cove's voice. That wasn't caused by the technical error he was choking up. Each word had to be pushed out with dedicated effort. Really nice. I love you. As rapidly started as it was, what he meant to express came through to you and the rest of the people there to hear it. Cove's honest affection. A fumbling motion that screeched out even more intentional feedback. Cove passed the mic to you. His now free hands to cover his mouth. As you rose up from your chair, you cast your eyes out over each individual in the crowd. You had to accept the bittersweet notion that this truly was a special occasion. You had no idea when everyone you cared for would be gathered together, and you were in the same place again, or when you'd see some of them next. You wondered if Cove had been cognizant of the same thing while he was speaking, but this message had a weight to it. This was your last big chance to share your thoughts with them. All you could think was to say was, "Alright, those were good. You passed the test." You joked. That brought the speeches to their last light-hearted note. Your eyes remained focused as you extended your hand out to Baxter to take the microphone, and lowered back down in your seat. A pause erupted from the table, and Baxter grinned approvingly.
Perfect.
He took the microphone back with him, and he rejoined the other staff members in order to give you and Cove some space to yourselves. When the clapping subsided, emotions remained high. Further conversations were tentative and hushed for a time. But eventually, the happy chatter that frequented your reception filled the air again. It was an evening of good food and good company. When the meal king was nearing its end, the final course you had requested from your caterer was handed out, a palate cleanser. From there, the evening continued to slip by in dreamy haze. Before you knew it, all the attendees had finished, and the dishes from dinner had been swiftly cleared from the tables. In spite of this, everyone remained rooted in their seats. There was no secret that there was more to come. People were eagerly waiting dessert, though none of them could match the vibrating anticipation your husband had. It was time for cake. But before the big event, you had something else up your sleeve. Your servers returned to bestow the extra treats to your guests. Really delightful trays of fancily plated fudge slices were delivered to the tables and distributed to guests. The dishes had been carefully selected to match your purple color scheme. Mom grabbed Ma's arm as she saw what was coming and pointed at the place with excitement. Ma gasped. The two of them oohed and ahed as the tray was set down on the table. The servers vanished from the floor with impressive efficiency, allowing the wedding cake to take center stage. Sat on the center table was your fully realized creation, a five-tiered, beachy-styled purple masterpiece. You're pleased to see that your guests were smitten with it as you and Cove were. Cliff let out a whistle of admiration. What a cake! Terry gasped. Are you really gonna cut it? That cake must have taken an eternity to put together. Aww. Kara's voice rang out sweetly as she gazed at the cake.
Fantastic.
That's perfect. It's so cool you went with purple instead of just totally white. Totally unpredictable. You gazed at the neatly cut cake with pride as you set the knife down. Cove beamed. It was a lovely moment. Now that you couldn't wait to share the wonderful cake with your guests. Cove let out a throat squeak as he picked up the provided fork. Each aspect of it had been painstakingly planned to suit the occasion, as well as your tastes. And now, at last, it was finally there for the eating. You were just as eager to eat it. You weren't going to hold back. And, in short order, the servings of cakes was set down at each table, and a neat triangular slice in front of every guest. As the crowd dug in, along came the discussion of the dessert. It tastes just as nice as it looks. Given how starry-eyed Miranda had looked when the cakes first revealed, it was a weighty compliment indeed. And you would have never thought of having a flavor profile like this, but it's great.
Nice work.
Good work coming up with it, Sporting Callie. Kara agreed at once. You outdid yourselves. Cove stopped, shoveling the fondant into his mouth long enough to give his own praises. Our cake is definitely something hard to find literally anywhere else. It's special, and I'll always associate this taste with our wedding cake. With our wedding. It's even better because the cake is so good. It's actually amazing. You didn't hear a single peep out of Jeremy, yet whenever you spotted him. While surveying the scene, he was steadily working his way through the slice. Through a series of modest bites, the cake slowly vanished from his plate. That, combined with the absence of any complaints, was a huge accomplishment when it came to that particular guest. You were hooked within one bite. It was just as wonderful as you hoped, and more. The bakery had outdone themselves. You and Cove wolfed down the delicious cake with gusto, polishing off your slices easily. You couldn't believe how quickly it was gone. The plate was scraped clean, but it had been too good to resist. Luckily, there was no shortage of cake. Both you and Cove flagged down the waiter for more. By the time the meal was officially over, Cove had not only devoured 3 full slices of cake, but how checked with Baxter about what would happen to any leftovers. Baxter hadn't need to reassure him that any remaining sections of cake would be wrapped up to go home with you two. It was pleasant to sit back and relax for a while, giving your feet time to reciprocate from the long day, but the lull did not last for long. Newly fueled by cake, the party was beginning to start again. The celebration was able to continue in earnest. Derek, Lee, Terry, and Miranda got the dance floor going. They took turns pulling silly moves and cheering each other on. Liz sang along to all the songs she knew whenever an old favorite came in your life. Growing up came. Liz sang along to all the songs she knew from whenever an old favorite from your growing up together came on. She chose to keep Leon company throughout the party. She never lost that fondness she had for that guy. From the glimpses you caught, he didn't seem to have minded. Your four parents made the table base camp and cycled between catching up with other families in town and rejoining with one another. They spent much of the time trading sentimental stories about when their babies were just babies. Cove's one uncle showed off his classic magic tricks to celebrate the day. Her husband was far more enthusiastic about the stunts as a 23-year-old adult than when he was an 8-year-old child. When he got the chance, Cove graciously offered Jeremy some leftover cake after how eagerly Jeremy had eaten his first slice. They were truly close for him to do that, and Jeremy accepted the kindness for a change. During the entire time, more casual photos were snapped of the best and funniest moments. One was when Miranda got Terry to hold up his dress so she could do a handstand. We couldn't wait to see them fully developed. And many guests had been generous enough to bring presents that you and Cove might need. You finished opening each one, offering your thanks. Seafoam green towels, dishes, a water purifier, a framed picture of the sea with the words, "Life's a beach," were just some of your takeaways for the day. Of course, go with the most obvious, Cove-style towels. The most common gift, however, was the safe bet of simply giving cash. You'd never seen how many $20 bills in one place. Your family had a sense of humor. Of course, the relationship that began with someone offering money would reach its head with that repeating. Your husband caught a glimpse of the silent amusement on your face. His mouth curved into a smile as he watched you. You bet that money was what he was thinking of. You bet money that he knew exactly was what was on your mind. Good evening. This distinct voice of your planet caught your attention. He approached with a polite wave. The people you know are as welcomed as you are. I treated the staff, including myself, well throughout the reception. Well, with the exceptions of Mr. Leon and Mr. Jeremy. Acquired the characters, but don't worry, we can handle a bit of snark just fine. The description made Cove wheeze. He couldn't meet Baxter's gaze when replying.
Sorry,
they've, what kind of an attitude? I've noticed. As pleasant as he got the pleasantries, Baxter was starting to get to the point of the conversation quickly.
Well,
I'm here to say you've got the space for a few more hours, but there are no more planned events or responsibilities on your shoulders. The day went off as exactly as intended. He pressed his hands against the bottom of his spine, leaned his torso back against him to stretch. For a single sigh word, Baxter let himself walk out of the work mindset. Hallelujah. But the metaphorical bell rang. He returned promptly to providing his service, standing up perfectly straight and pointing his toes forward. Feel free to simply enjoy yourselves however you want with the time that's left. Of course, I'll personally put out any fires if they do appear. You two don't need to worry about anything. Oh, thank you for all that. You really were the perfect guy to do it. Baxter's brows curved, his eyes softened. Even pausing to steady himself didn't hide the emotion rich in his voice. That means a lot to me. I knew you'd pull it off. The smile already prominent on his face warmed further. Baxter ran his hands down his shirt, smoothing it out in casual, fluid motion.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome. It's been a joy working with you two, truly. The moon was light all around, until the feeling really hit Cove. He shifted in place uncomfortably, not knowing how to proceed from the point that was reached. So, does this mean you want to be our friend again? Oh! He blinked rapidly as his mouth closed into a tight line, before saying a full thought. Baxter always needed a second to recover on the rare occasion that something took him off his game. Well, that's your call, I'd say. I did refuse to speak to you, and especially your spouse for 5 years. You don't have to be friends with me now. Cove pulled his eyes open wide as the shy expression on his face dropped into shock. He hadn't prepared for that bit of history to be brought up again. Unfortunately, the Baxter being a good dancer hadn't saved him from his foot accidentally ended up in his mouth. Cove with an apologetic smile.
Forgive me.
I would like that, though. Despite the prompting talk, Cove didn't put together an answer. We're definitely friends. Two very advice from two very different men set on you, though eventually moving to look at one another. Smiles returned to their features as Baxter would say was out. To solidify their friendship, he opened out his arms for you for a hug. You gladly reciprocated. He tugged your arms around his chest in a nice, affectionate embrace. He wrapped his arms around your back in return before letting you go again. Next, his hand went towards Cove. He held it out evenly, with confidence, not wanting to be self-assured. But he was actually certain they were going to have a close relationship now. Cove looked down at it, considering, but he ultimately raised his arms and shoulders in motion that was both an awkward shrug and an invitation for tug instead. The lopsided grin was contagious, and Baxter took hold of Cove while positively beaming. Baxter was only tall enough to bring him to Cove's shoulder, but he rested it there comfortably. Cove chuckled in bemusement. It took a long time, but he had won over to Baxter's side. He gave his new friend a pat on the back before they ended the embrace amicably. I hope you enjoy your post-wedding bliss as long as you can. But when life settles back down to normal, we should have dinner. I know some good places.
I guess.
That'd be nice. I guess we'll call you. Definitely. We'll have to get together again. Perfect. And congratulations on your lovely day. He then quite literally bowed, tipping one foot back and inclined forward. He kept his head lifted up with the curled grin you'd been so used to. You'd become so used to, featured prominently on his face. Baxter left the two of you there, disappearing into the crowd of figures, in all black, to help keep the event running as smoothly as possible. It all back to the very start of that day when Baxter promised to congratulate you when it was all over. That gave his parting words an extra sense of finality. But it wouldn't be a real goodbye. This time Baxter would be a part of your lives for as long as he was welcomed in it, and he believed in that. With the staff busy and the guests mingling with each other, you and Cove had a moment completely to yourselves since the wedding first began that morning. You knew for certain that you could relax when you caught Cove pulling into a big stretch. His torso twisted to one side as his hands rose up high as he could get them. It divided a bit of the crisp fitted shirt he was burned into, but Cove was persistent. His eyes had been closed when he worked out the last of the jewels he had been carrying through the day, but his gaze landed on you as soon as he had finished. There was a radiant warmth in his expression as he spoke to you with an eased heart. Is there anything you want to do before it's over? I'm happy with whatever you're thinking. Would you want to dance with me? He smiled openly and warmly. It was more inviting than even direct words could have been. As he had in the past, and you were certain he would go in the future, Cove lifted his hand for you to take. You accepted then as you always would. You and your husband slipped away from the main scene area, out to the center of the space. By this late hour, the dance floor had mostly emptied. Your fingers remain linked as you both took hold of the other with yours. Thin hands taking form for a dance. Cove brought his chest near enough to brush against you, and nuzzled his cheek against yours, though he was careful not to mess up your makeup. Slowly, slow, calming music drifted through the air, enveloped you, and kept out this buzz of distant conversation still happening. You began to sway to the sound, posing content. It felt as though you and he were in your own world.
So...
Well, Mick Wolfholden, congratulations on your successful wedding. Congratulations to you, Mr. Wolfholden.
Thanks.
Thanks. And if you're wondering, my plan is to be the last person who gets to congratulate you tonight. He waggled his wiggly eyebrows, being intentionally silly. That's such a goofball, he said affectionately. He sighed softly, and his shoulders lowered comfortably, but Cove suddenly back to attention when something struck him. Though, I could say it again when we get to the hotel room. I'd definitely be the last person to do it then. That's not the perks of being married. I pretty much always get to be the first and final one with you. You for me too? I'm good with that. I don't know. I could always call someone. He joked. Go ahead. I'll say it again when you're done. Done, you're tough to beat. Infinite call. That's right. In his glistening eyes, you could see how treasured you really were. Cove whispered heartfelt words.
See you tomorrow.
Oh, and I'll say this for sure. See you tomorrow, Callie. I'll see you tomorrow too. Cove pressed himself into you even more snugly, and letting out a tiny, thrilled squeak. Oh, did you notice I'm wearing an anklet? Felt a genuine gasp. No!
Seriously?
Are you serious? I had no idea you were wearing one. The initial shock wearing off. Cove shamelessly craned his neck to try and get a peek at it. You could only laugh at the reaction. Honestly, I thought you'd have to check that. Well... Cove dropped his face completely, suddenly feeling bashful. You do look really good in that outfit. But mostly, I just wanted to see your face. I haven't been able to focus on much else. Sorry. That's so sweet. You were swooning. Cove still had a knack for the unexpected compliment. Now that we have a minute, I wanted to mention how you looked. His hands tense, blushing at his finery. The spotlight to turn back on, and Cove was getting stage fright. You like it? I'm staring up at how gorgeous it is. It's perfect.
I'm so glad.
That's great. I'm really glad you think so. You could tell from his blush that he'd ultimately enjoyed your attention, and his posture relaxed and he seemed more confident in the clothes again. I like yours too. I love it. Thank you. Cove, is there something you're hoping for in our lives after this? We've got a place, our pets, each other. That makes me happy, but there's something you want to talk about? I want to listen. Well, you have some choices. Well, I'm thinking we could use some company. And I don't mean more fish. I want to start a family with you. He grinned coyly, hoping you'd get the message. I want to give birth and adopt children. For a second, he completely stalled. He winced as him potentially fainting, becoming a real possibility once more. Instead of falling, he spoke. Okay. The reason I chose that one is because Cove was birthed and I was adopted. It makes perfect sense to do the same for the children. The bird was so quiet, you needed to hear him so much, you instinctively pulled closer to him. You regretted that choice immediately after, because he found himself in a shower.
Right?
We can get babies! Not right now. I mean, unless you want to do it.
Right?
But right now, Cove was panicking, bouncing up and down on his feet enough to shake the both of your bodies. He knew his heart was in the right place, sir. I filled you with joy. Don't worry, we'll take our time. He panted it out and even from breath, but calmed enough to still himself.
Yeah.
Good idea. Thanks, Callie. Thank you too. Cove seemed like he had something on his mind. You gave him an encouraging smile. He chewed on the inside of his cheek as silence grew longer. You remained patient, communicating your willingness to listen through your eager eyes. Callie, there's something I want to say. The silence faded out as his lips clammed. The sentence faded out as his lips clammed in a trembling line. He had to force it back open. I wanted to say it without crying, but your vows were so nice to hear, and I loved them, and I want to thank you for doing that. Simply remembering the scene had gone flowing tears again. Had gone tears flowing again. He couldn't help it. I can say it again if you want me to. He sniffled, then once, then twice, and he grinned back at you. You let yourself enjoy his company. He kissed his lips. His eyelashes fluttered when your lips touched, no matter how much time had passed. It still amazed him that you would kiss him. Cove kissed you back lovingly. It was so warm. Then you had your husband's side wistfully. Went by so fast. And now I'm thinking about it. I don't only mean the wedding. It's everything. Why did the years go? When did you and me become grown up? I feel grown up. I don't know if I do either. Though, his spirits carefully rose again, and he spoke more lightly. I feel pretty good about getting older, and not being a kid anymore, because I'm doing it with you. Before we couldn't pretend to play adult, and I was bad at it. This was right on that one, unfortunately. And now we're doing it at our wedding. I know what it's like to be an adult, kind of. You just do it, and keep going. I guess it's as simple as that. I wish we could have figured that out from the beginning. No. Actually, I'm glad everything went the way it did. I am too. The song that blanketed your discussion was his final chorus. The sun's rays drifted further away, night would fall soon. It was almost time to go. Too soon. Too soon you would know what the ending note of your wedding was. The final glance. The last word. Those thoughts swirled in your mind until Cove brought you back to the existing present where you belong.
It's nice.
I think our life is really nice. To let neither of you get lost in contemplation again. Cove suddenly caught both of his hands against your shoulder with the utmost seriousness. You know, if you want to have another party like this, I'll do it. Take me every year, multiple times a year, whenever you feel like it. We'll keep Baxter in business forever. You bet we'll have another. It's a deal. Tiny, delicate water drop poured in the corner of his eyes. Cove let his hands travel from yours to touch your face. He cradled you tenderly, never wanted to let go. What did I do to get to be with someone who's there for me? Someone who honestly cares about me? Well, I don't need an answer, really. I'm just grateful.
I love you.
I love you too, Callie. Always. We never got to dance with Baxter. How unfortunate. But, hey. Alright. That's the end of our life. Cove's epilogue. If this is where you want to drop off, then you're more than welcome to do so, just like with Darks. I'm doing all three of these, so you guys can choose the route that you want as your ending to my story. I want to do this because I like going through the epilogues themselves. and saves me playing through the entire game again, just to do the different epilogues. But, truthfully to me, now that Eric's or Cove's epilogues was my true story end, to me that's just a different branch of a different timeline. To me, the last epilogue that I'm yet to do, and yet to release, is Baxter's. You will always hold a special place in my heart. Thank you all for being here. I can't thank you all enough, actually. I'm already crying, which shouldn't be a shock to anyone. But happy ends, no matter what, always make me teary-eyed in video games. I'll see you when I next see you. Bye for today.